That's right. The world's biggest wholesale company, Costco, reporting earnings. Obviously, Costco, I think it's needless to say, this company is a fantastic company. So you think about it, we're looking after hours. This thing's up half a percentage point, only down 1.5% even during normal trading hours, at a time in which the market actually was down 3.5%. So just take that into consideration. If we look at the historical performance of this stock, which I love to do, look in the past 5 years how this stock has managed to gain 111%. I mean, in the past year, this thing's up 44%. And that's including the most recent just absolute nightmare. So, to be fair here, Costco does their job very well. This is a company with an excellent management team. They're just running well. They know exactly what they're doing, what they're there to do, and I'm pretty hype on Costco. So I want to know, what do these earnings have in store? I want to see what these earnings look like, because Costco is a stock I want to get into, and I haven't yet because I feel like this thing just keeps going up, but I just never know when to jump on. So let's take a look real quick at Costco's earnings and just analyze what's going on with this stock. So Costco beats EPS by 4 cents, $2.10 per share in EPS. Now that is a quality earnings per share right there. If you think about it, obviously share value is very high, so EPS you'd expect to be a little bit higher too. Again, but still, that's a good amount of profit out of a retailer like this. Not bad at all. Revenue of $39.07 billion, which grew 10.4% year over year. Can you believe that? This is a company that grew revenue 10%, and they're already making $39 billion. They beat by nearly $1 billion, $810 million. So they were already planning to grow by 8%, and then they beat by another solid $800 million. That's crazy growth. Crazy growth. I don't know. If you think about it, it's so hard when you get into those billions of dollars. It's hard to grow revenue at double-digit levels. It really is. It's hard to grow double-digit percentage growth. It's just, the more you spend, the more money you make, again, that percentage, you need more to equal the same percentage. So definitely consider that, but let's take a look at some more info there. Costco is slightly higher in after-hours trading after showing strong sales growth in quarter 2. That's right. The retailer reports comp sales were up 7.9%, excluding fuel and gas. That's how we always do it. Obviously, because fuel for these type of companies, these wholesale companies like Costco, they are a non-profit area. That's just frankly how it is. They don't make money off of gas, so we exclude that typically. It's not a good metric to go by. Versus a 5.7% consensus. So they grew over 2% more in terms of comp sales than they were expected. E-commerce rose 28%. Comp sales were 8.1% higher for the U.S. business. Membership income was up 6.3%. So again, that could be new members. It could also be a growth in terms of the executive members, I believe, is their top tier membership. So the $110, $120 membership, I can't recall now. I know they recently raised it, but I know it's over $100, but I can't remember if it's 110 or 120. Net income of $931 million versus 889 from a year ago. So they grew in terms of what they're bringing in. They're bringing home the bacon. They grew the bacon they're bringing home. Costco says it saw an uptick in consumer demand during the 4th week of its reporting period due to concerns over the coronavirus outbreak. Let's just be fair. So, again, I work at a retailer, and this has been a crazy last couple weeks. People are freaking out about this coronavirus like no other, and people are stocking up on everything. And we're talking 3-4 big old bags of paper towels, something that'll last you a year easily. We're buying just in bulk. We're buying 10 cases of water. And these are 40-pack waters. What is going on, people? Like, you think you're going to be locked in for a year or something? It is crazy. Regardless, back to these Costco earnings. So let's take a look at some of the fine details. I did want to talk about this revenue first before we get into it. This is what I mean when this company's well run. This is what I'm talking about. Well run company. Look at this since 2005. Just look at this trailing 12-month revenue growth. That's right. Down here at the bottom, you see quarterly growth only was negative in 2009. It's the only time they saw negative growth. And what was 2009? It was literally a recession, okay? It was the Great Recession. And those are the only 3 quarters there that they actually saw negative quarter-over-quarter growth. Or year-over-year quarterly growth. That is. So, is that a concern? No, because that was a freaking recession. So that is perfectly fine. But you see this trailing 12-month revenue line here, this graph, and it looks beautiful. It just looks beautiful. You like to see consistent revenue growers for 10 years, 14 years out the road now too. You just love seeing that. At least I do. And you also think about what boons did they have in this quarter as well. Well, obviously, one of the most recent additions as of the last year would be the China store. And again, they have issues now with coronavirus fears. But this was the scene from their first opening of their first Chinese store. This was the scene. And you think about how heavy densely. Okay, here's the thing about words. They're struggling to come out today. I've been up since 3 a.m., okay? 2:10 if you want to be honest. How densely populated China is. There's so much potential there for new members for them. It absolutely is. And these people were lining up at the door so much that they had to shut down the store. There was so much traffic because they were breaking fire codes. My gosh. They couldn't even expect the amount of demand. Well, they kind of could, but it's crazy. You see this kid in the bottom left, though? This dude's PO'd. He wants out. Sorry, he's got a Baby Shark shirt, and guess what? Baby Shark, no, you're not getting out. You're going to get stuck in that store and trampled, probably, because there's so many freaking people. Let's get back to these earnings, though. So here, obviously, we go through this little good deal here as far as comp sales. So for total company, for 24 weeks, you see a 6.6% growth. That's their 6-month number, that 24 weeks. I don't know why they don't say 6 months. Come on now. You see e-commerce here. In the past quarter was up 28.4%. Very nice. But in the past year, it's been 17.4% up. That's very, very nice. You do see also, due to Thanksgiving occurring a week later this year, for this quarter total, comp sales were positively impacted by approximately 0.5%. So you probably will see it probably had an impact from the previous quarter, is what you would see. So nothing too crazy as far as that's concerned. So in the future, obviously, you shouldn't see any holiday differences that really cause any sort of breakdown in that. So February sales benefited from, obviously, coronavirus outbreak. They currently have 785 warehouses, which you see you've got, obviously, 546 in the U.S. and Puerto Rico, 100 in Canada, 39 in Mexico, 29 in the United Kingdom, 26 Japan, 16 Korea, 13 Taiwan, 11 Australia, 2 in Spain, and 1 in Iceland, France, and China, like we just talked about. Costco also operates e-commerce sites in the U.S., Canada, UK, Mexico, Korea, Taiwan, Japan, and Australia. So this is a company that has room to grow. They've got different markets to absolutely get into. Obviously, Europe definitely has some untapped potential for them. I don't think there's any denying that. They've got plenty of area where they can grow in terms of Europe. So that'll be an interesting one to look at, is if they potentially do that kind of spread. We'll see. But clearly China, they could add another 3-4 stores and be perfectly fine as far as that demand is concerned. Probably now is not the best time for it due to recent outbreaks, but otherwise things look good for them. So definitely we like looking at that. From a revenue perspective, 12 weeks ending, you see versus last year, this is a $4 million change, or $4 billion, I should say, $4 billion difference growth year over year. From a 6 months ending perspective, they've grown sales for really well if you think about it. Let's think about it here. 5.5 billion. So very nice though. 6 months difference. That's some very good stuff. Operating expenses. You see, nothing too crazy. Merchandise costs a little bit higher this quarter. Obviously, more money spent or more revenue. So obviously, they bought more merchandise to sell more merchandise. So nothing crazy. Very cool stuff. Net income, you see that is $931 million. Gosh, and from a 6 months or 6 months ending perspective, they also grew net income as well. So good numbers on that. As far as assets are concerned, cash on hand, they did decrease a little bit. They've got around $7.8 billion in cash on hand. As far as total assets, you see 48.7 million. From a balance sheet perspective on the liabilities, you see accounts payable of 11 billion, which paid down a little bit from previous. So a little bit of debt there. There's no doubt about it. Not a huge fan of debt. Long-term debt here, long-term debt, they have $5 billion. But again, overall, I do think they generate the cash to actually handle that long-term debt, no doubt. It's not necessarily a balance sheet that I'm always going to be looking for, if you know what I'm saying. But as far as total liabilities is concerned, they actually only have 31,000 in terms of total liabilities, where their assets are in the 48 billion range, and the total liabilities are in the 31 billion range. So again, they have plenty more assets than they do liabilities, so the balance sheet is strong. It's a healthy balance sheet. You might just want to see that cash position potentially increase. I don't know. I like it regardless. That's going to be your Costco earnings. As far as valuation on this thing, I do think it is at a point where it is slightly highly valued. I love what this company has to offer, so it also pays a dividend as well. I don't think it's necessarily, it's not a strong buy in my perspective, but I do think it's a good base for a portfolio because of the potential, just the consistency that this company brings. They're consistently going to meet or beat numbers, always. There's no doubt about that. They're consistently growing revenue, and they're consistently growing their memberships. Costco runs things very well. If you've ever been in a Costco, you can tell they run the thing very well. It's run by some good people. They hire good people. So overall, hope you enjoyed this, and maybe you pick up some Costco. We'll see.